Good evening. We begin with breaking news from Pickering tonight.
An elderly woman is dead after a stabbing near Whites Road in Finch. Residents are being advised to shelter in place. An emergency alert was sent to cell phones across the area about 20 minutes ago. Our Allison Hurst is live near the scene tonight with the latest. And Allison, an alert of this nature is unusual and very troubling. What do we know so far?
Absolutely. There is a very heavy police presence in the area. What we do know is, yes, there was a woman who was here at her home on this street here just behind me on Lynn Heights Drive. And police say that there was an unknown man who approached her and attacked her. She was taken to hospital where she was pronounced dead. Let me step out of the way so you can kind of have a look at what's going on right now. As I said, a very heavy police presence, a number of police vehicles. We have seen forensics arriving here as well. Police say that the man that they are looking for, the suspect who is not in custody at this time, they are looking for him right now. He was wearing a long black trench coat. It was shiny and it went down to his ankles, and they're working on getting a photo of him. They believe this happened just after 3 o'clock in the Lynn Heights Drive and Fairpoint Road in Pickering, which is where we are, Fairport Road, excuse me. And it was an elderly man who was stabbed by an unknown man who fled the area on foot. And just a short time ago, I spoke with a neighbor who went up to police and spoke with them, and here's a little bit about what he had to say.
So I came home at 3:30, and there's 3 sets of tape there. I saw the first tape up, so I drove up just to see what the view is, talk to the cop. And they said that there's an old lady that lives there. I always see her. She walks her dog up this street all the time. She was out doing her gardening, and this man in a long black trench coat, fedora, came up and beat her, attacked her. And then still an active investigation right now. They're still looking for him. And I don't know what time it is now, but it's been since 2:30, so it's been a while.
And I'll just correct myself, there was an elderly woman who was pronounced dead. Police, again, are still looking for this man. They are asking everyone in the area to shelter in place at this time as they conduct their investigation. Again, this man was fled on foot. He was wearing a shiny, long black trench coat down to his ankles. We'll bring you any more updates as we get them. Reporting live, I'm Allison Hurst. Back to you in studio.
Thank you, Allison. We'll stay on this story this hour. Also, Toronto police are linking 2 recent fires in the east end of the city, saying they are both cases of arson, and they believe the same suspects are responsible.
One of the fires took place at a commercial building near Pape and Danforth, the other at a restaurant near Birchmount and Ellesmere. And that's where we find CTV's Mike Walker with the latest tonight. Mike.
So right, and Michelle, these 2 arsons happened less than a week apart, and in both cases, police say the suspects were seen carrying red jerry cans on surveillance cameras when they broke into the businesses and started the fires. Restoration crews are cleaning up a Greek restaurant in Scarborough 2 days after an arson. The owners declined an interview, but do say they don't know why they were targeted. And now police confirm this arson is connected to another fire they say was deliberately set at a business in East York last week. Customers are in disbelief.
I told you that's ridiculous. To make those damage for the people.
It was back on May 21st when police say 3 suspects broke into a commercial building on Pape near Mortimer in the early morning hours and used an accelerant to ignite a fire inside. At the time, Toronto Fire said the business was a Greek social club. 3 people who lived in the second-floor apartments, including a couple in their 70s, escaped the blaze but were treated in hospital for smoke inhalation. Then on Tuesday, police say 1 suspect broke into the Greek restaurant on Birchmount near Ellesmere and used an accelerant to start a fire inside. A jerry can could be seen on a table. Surveillance video from a plaza shows the orange glow after the fire was started. Police have released these images of the suspects. They were wearing dark clothing and were seen carrying jerry cans. Investigators believe the suspects in both arsons were traveling in this dark-colored SUV. At this point, police have not released a motive for why both businesses were targeted.
Yeah, it's very bad, like even for we are doing business here, right? So I don't know, we also scared, right?
Police say these 2 fires are not linked to a suspected string of arsons at 2 Indian restaurants in the Kennedy and Lawrence area last week. Again, the motive for these 2 arsons isn't clear at this time, and by releasing those surveillance images, police are appealing to anyone who might be able to identify the suspects or the vehicle to come forward. Reporting live, I'm Mike Walker. Michelle, back to you.
Thank you, Mike. There are new developments in the disappearance of a woman in Hamilton.
A 40-year-old woman, Shalini Singh, was last seen in December. Police have been searching an area landfill as part of their investigation, and today shared a tragic update. CTV's John Musselman reports.
Hamilton police have been searching this landfill site for the past few months for the possible remains of Shalini Singh. Investigators confirmed they found human remains last Wednesday in an area of the landfill site that had been targeted for the search.
At this time, we are awaiting DNA results to confirm the identity of the remains that we've located, and it could take several weeks before those confirmed results come to us. The Hamilton Police Service remains at the site and will continue to search for more human remains and for evidence for this investigation.
Concerned family members reported Singh missing back in December. The 40-year-old was living in a downtown Hamilton apartment with her common-law boyfriend. Initially, they were both reported missing, but he was found at the home of a family member outside the city the next day. Detectives allege he has not been forthcoming in this case.
That is correct. He has not cooperated throughout this investigation.
Police won't say if the boyfriend is a suspect. Investigators believe Singh was killed in her apartment and her body was removed from the building through the garbage disposal system. That's why police began searching the landfill site. Investigators have viewed security video of her entering the building back in December, but she is never seen on security video leaving it. Police say they searched the apartment and two vehicles belonging to the couple and seized several items they believe are relevant to this investigation. John Musselman, CTV News in Hamilton.
And just ahead on CTV News, we'll take you to Pearson Airport for the emotional return of a mother and son after an alleged international parental abduction case.
And we will have more news in a moment. But first, let's give you a live look outside. Still another unsettled day today. Scattered showers and gray skies. Lindsay Morrison is here now with a look at our current conditions. One more day of unsettled weather, Linz.
Well, at least one more, Zoraida. There's still a chance of some wet weather into tomorrow evening, but tomorrow daytime should be pretty nice. Here's a look at the current satellite and radar. Those scattered showers continue at this hour. Widespread but isolated in nature. It's 15 degrees at Toronto Islands. It is 17 at Pearson Airport right now. We've been in the teens just about everywhere. Niagara just climbing to 20 there. We've had southwesterly winds. That's expected to continue. This is your evening at a glance. We're going to take you through your Friday and weekend forecast coming up. For now, Michelle, I'll send it over to you.
Thanks, Lindsay. It was an ordeal that lasted nearly a year. A mother's fight to bring her child back to Canada after an alleged international parental abduction.
This morning, mother and son landed at Pearson Airport. CTV's Beth McDonnell was there.
It's a mother and son's heart-wrenching homecoming. The pain of a 10-month journey pouring out at Pearson Airport. Camila Villas-Boas's 4-year-old son Valentino finally in her arms on home soil.
Thank you. I'm still like shock of emotions, because for a moment I thought that I would never find him again. And just see him say, "Mommy, I love you and I miss you."
In the middle of a divorce, Boaz says her husband, Kapil Sunak, took Valentino to India last summer for a vacation, but never returned, prompting Toronto police to issue a warrant for his arrest for abduction by parent custody order. Then this winter, she hired a lawyer, flew to India, and became embroiled in a harrowing set of legal battles to bring Valentino back. It was in court she saw him in person for the first time since the ordeal began.
When he opened that big smile, I was like, oh, he remembered me. Because for more than 6 months, there's no calls, no photos, no call, no video call, nothing. So I was scared that he wouldn't remember me anymore. But when he looked at me, he's like, "Mommy," oh my God. The world, for me, it's like all the pain I went through, it's worth it because I'm getting you back.
At one point in India, she says Sunak took off with Valentino for a second time, causing her to go to extreme lengths traveling around the country to get information on their whereabouts.
Without him, there was no life. Without him was nothing. So I had my mind and my heart saying there's nothing else in this life that you need to fight for.
I need to make a Batman look.
Eventually, she says a Supreme Court ruling allowed Valentino to be repatriated, opening the door for their return to Canada.
The only thing I want to do is just look him coming up in the door of my house. It could mean nothing for a lot of people, but for me it means the world. Just see him up in the door and looking at his room and see everything there. All his toy and all the gifts that he got when he was not here. That's the first thing that I want to do is just see his face coming home and say, Mommy, I'm home.
Police here believe Sunak remains in India and confirmed earlier this week he's still wanted. Meanwhile, Boa says she's looking forward to seeing Valentino go to school and giving him the peaceful life he deserves. Beth McDonnell, CTV News.
To Queen's Park next, where the province is tabling legislation that would give the education minister more power.
The move is being met with opposition by teachers' unions who call the changes a power grab. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris is live tonight with those details. Siobhan.
Well, this is a move that could have the Minister of Education more involved in the day-to-day operation of school boards, influence the name that's on the building, and possibly see the return of uniformed police officers in the classroom.
The Minister of Education is giving himself sweeping new powers over school boards.
I am frankly as done as all parents are and teachers are with a school system that has turned into a political battle zone.
It comes after high-profile trips by some school board trustees and staff, including a $200,000 trek to Italy to buy art.
Teachers shouldn't have to be going to Dollarama to buy pencil cases or crayons for their classes.
Calandra says boards need to focus on sharing resources with teachers, and when they stray from that mission,
the government, the Ministry of Education, should take responsibility and should step up. This legislation allows us to do that.
The bill gives the government naming rights over schools and clears the way for the return of uniformed police officers in their hallways, a program the Toronto District School Board ended in 2017. If a local police service offers a school resource officer program, Calandra says boards will be forced to sign on.
It builds not only safety and security in a school, but also mutual respect.
Educators stress the practice ended for good reason.
Really the policing of Black and racialized and marginalized students, funding we're spending on these resource officers, we could work on supporting those students within the schools.
The opposition calls out the elimination of choice.
Taking it away from parents and local communities, destroying local democracy.
Opposition MPPs want the government to refocus.
Fixing crumbling schools, making sure special education kids get the help that they need because they're not.
While there's a concession, school boards need to be checked.
Now we're going to be really having a power grab over school boards, and it's a total distraction from what's needed in education.
The group that speaks for Ontario school boards makes that more explicit, writing in part, "We're always willing to engage in conversations about accountability. It would be helpful if these conversations included a discussion about the funding necessary to support students. Let us be clear, the real issue here is that the system is under financial strain." The Minister of Education says he's continuing to look at school board governance.
I have no interest in charter schools. I have no interest in abolishing a Catholic board.
But isn't closing the door to eliminating trustees.
This bill also includes measures for colleges and universities, forcing them to publicly disclose how their merit-based admissions work, and there are consultations to come on extra fees students pay. Reporting live from Queen's Park, I'm Siobhan Morris. Zoraida, back to you.
Thank you, Siobhan. All MPPs are getting an increase of nearly $41,000, bringing their salaries to just over $157,000. Premier Doug Ford will see a $73,000 increase to just over $282,000, while opposition leader Marit Stiles, her pay will be over $244,000. Cabinet ministers will also get nearly $58,000 more. Officials say MPP salaries had been frozen since 2009.
It's fair and reasonable. It'll be at 75% of the federal compensation. It's still less than a Toronto City Councillor will be paid or a Mississauga City Councillor. And we're going to work tirelessly each and every day, sometimes in different ways, to help all Ontarians.
MPPs will also now be able to join and contribute to Ontario's public service pension plan for the first time since 1995.
Still ahead, tariff turnaround the day after a federal court ruling against Trump's duties. An appeals court ruling revives them. We'll explain the situation along with plenty of reaction in moments.
A second Canadian province has declared a state of emergency as wildfires continue to burn in the prairies.
Today we're declaring a provincial wildfire state of emergency. Under that wildfire state of emergency are a number of initiatives then that we may have to use over the days ahead to further support the wildland fire suppression and firefighter activities that are happening in the north, further support those residents that are evacuated today or may have to be evacuated in the days ahead.
The declaration is set for 14 days, but can be extended. Today's announcement makes it easier for different levels of government to battle the blazes. The fires have forced more than 4,000 residents from their homes, mainly in the province's remote northeast region. The Premier has not asked the federal government for help, but may do so in the days ahead. There have also been evacuations in Alberta, where there are currently 43 wildfires. Yesterday, Manitoba declared a state of emergency, and many residents are making their way to Winnipeg. CTV's Alex Karpa has more on that.
Manitoba is in a state of emergency. It's one of the largest evacuations this province has ever seen. Over 17,000 people are now evacuating from northern Manitoba to cities like Selkirk, Dauphin, and Brandon, but majority of them are coming right here to Winnipeg. Many evacuees are scrambling to find places, leaving them stranded, so it's creating quite the situation that continues to unfold minute by minute. I'm outside a hockey arena that has now been turned into an evacuee center. The Red Cross and province are using this facility for registration and to help evacuees figure out where to go next. I spoke to a few people who were forced to evacuate from Flin Flon and actually drove the night to come down here to Winnipeg, and they say it's been nothing but a stressful time.
The smoke was getting pretty heavy and we had to drive out, so we didn't know what the visibility was going to be like when we left Flin.
The important thing is that I got out, same with my family, and to be honest, I was like terrified. I really was.
I think everybody's feeling like that, being anxious and then scared, and at the same time, like thinking of what's going on, when we're gonna get back in there, or we're still gonna have a place to stay when we go back in there.
The City of Winnipeg says some facilities and services could be affected as employees help with emergency support. The province says it's also urging evacuees to stay with family and friends if possible, as hotel space across the province is limited. Alex Karpa, CTV News.
Well, for a while, at least, it looked like we might be getting a break from some of those U.S. tariffs after a federal court in New York ruled that Donald Trump exceeded his authority.
But today, an appellate court decided the U.S. president can temporarily continue collecting the duties while he appeals the other court's decision. CTV's Mike Lecouteur reports.
Stock markets opened higher on the news of the court ruling against U.S. tariffs, while Prime Minister Mark Carney pointed out the decision was consistent with Canada's argument
that the U.S. IEEPA tariffs were unlawful as well as unjustified.
On April 2nd, President Donald Trump had imposed global tariffs on nearly every country using the International Economic Emergency Powers Act. The court ruling blocked those tariffs and the ones imposed under the guise of forcing Canada to increase border security and to stop fentanyl from going into the United States. But others remain in place.
We recognize that our trading relationship with the United States is still profoundly and adversely threatened and affected by similarly unjustified 232 tariffs against steel, aluminum, and the auto sector.
The reprieve still leaves a lot in limbo for businesses on this side of the border.
It's a real impact on business, and the uncertainty is what's toxic for business. Not knowing the rules of the game, having a constant on-again, off-again whipsaw effect.
That's because the U.S. ruling also pointed out a number of other avenues Trump could take to impose tariffs. For example, retaliating against Canada's digital sales tax.
He could go to Section 891, which of the income tax code, which has never been used before, but 50% tariffs on any Canadian corporation functioning in the United States.
Prime Minister Carney reiterated the need to strengthen trading partnerships with allies and between provinces. And that is at the top of the agenda when he meets with premiers next week. Mike Lecouteur, CTV News, Ottawa.
Well, the man accused of driving his car into a crowd of Liverpool soccer fans on Monday has been charged. The charges include intentionally causing grievous bodily harm and 6 other serious counts. Police say the investigation is at an early stage as investigators review a huge volume of evidence. Nearly 80 people were injured, 7 remain in hospital. All are stable. Police have said the driver was believed to have acted alone and they did not suspect terrorism. He will make his first court appearance tomorrow.
Canada Post said today it has not yet received a response to its latest offer as it awaits a resumption of negotiations with the union. Both sides met yesterday when the Crown Corporation delivered what it called its final offer, but the union insists there were no changes from an earlier offer and says Canada Post is playing hardball. About 55,000 workers have been in a legal strike position since last Friday. The union has so far opted for an overtime ban. Canada Post says that has slowed mail delivery and caused an overall decline in parcel volume. The corporation reported an operating loss of more than $1 billion last year and said it has posted 7 consecutive annual losses. And speaking of deliveries, residents of Markham may notice food delivery robots on city streets.
It's all part of a pilot project by one of Canada's largest food delivery services. CTV's John Venevalley-Rao has more.
There's long been plenty of hype about delivery bots, but rolling around Markham, Ontario, what's hoped to be a permanent option for hungry customers when it comes to their choice of delivery method.
Kids have no hesitation. They go up to the robot. We've seen kids hug the robot. They see it like a friendly community member.
Sporting a friendly face, 4 of these mechanical marvels are now part of a 3-month pilot involving the company formerly known as Skip the Dishes. The bots can navigate sidewalks, weave around pedestrians, though they still have a human following them just to make sure there aren't any problems. Waiting for his first ever robot food delivery, Sobhan Khan, who used an app on his phone to unlock the lid and take out his lunch. So what did he think?
It's a pretty awesome experience, pretty new experience for me as well, and seems like a great innovation.
Delivery bots have been tested before and were even banned in Toronto 4 years ago over safety concerns and worries they could be a problem for people with disabilities. But the company behind this latest push, Waterloo-based Real Life Robotics, says in Markham their tests were done with local government approval, a first in Canada. And they think such bots are not only environmentally friendly, but that they could help businesses.
You know, in Canada right now, we have entrepreneurship at an all-time low, death of the main street, and you're seeing the cost of operating a business at an all-time high. So we need innovation like this. We need to start taking some bold, ambitious moves if we want to look at recovering our Canadian economy.
The robots can carry nearly 60 kilograms at 5 kilometers an hour, and humans at a remote operations center can take over if there's issues. Depending how things go, Real Life Robotics aims to deploy 500 of these robots in Canadian cities over the next 3 years. So what do people think about sharing the sidewalk with a robot?
I mean, as long as there are like 50 of them blocking the sidewalk, no problem.
With the hope these robots will finally deliver on the hype. John Venevalley-Rao, CTV News, Markham, Ontario.
Still ahead, we continue to follow breaking news this hour out of Pickering. An elderly woman has been fatally stabbed. The suspect, an unknown male wearing a long black trench coat, has fled on foot. A search is underway this hour. Durham police have issued an emergency alert, warning the public to shelter in place as they effort to find this suspect.
I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, if you have an electric car and you're planning to travel this summer, you could be charged different rates depending on the charging station you use. A man was shocked to get a bill for more than $600 to charge his car. All of that story just in.
Well, as we move through these final days of May, I think it's safe to say many of us will remember this month for being a little cool and a little unsettled. But interestingly enough, our rainfall amounts pretty average. We should dry out through the overnight hours tonight, but some fog is expected to return. A bump in temperature for tomorrow temporarily. But don't worry, summertime heat arrives next week. Your 7-day forecast is coming up, and stay with us. We've got another full night of great shows for you right here on CTV.
A new survey by J.D. Power found many Canadians are still not interested in purchasing an electric car. Only 28% said that they would consider buying one.
Many people still have range anxiety, worried about how far EVs can travel, as well as concerns about the EV charging network. Here's Pat Foran with a consumer alert. Pat.
Thanks, Michelle and Zoraida. If you live in the city, you have many options when it comes to charging your EV. But if you're in a remote area or plan to travel across Canada, charging stations are harder to find. One man was shocked when he charged his car in Manitoba and got a bill for more than $600.
Close to $700? Like, wow.
John Kalisnik of Dauphin, Manitoba bought his first electric vehicle earlier this year. It's a 2025 Chevrolet Equinox. He had to make a road trip to Swan River, Manitoba, and charged his EV at a car dealership.
I got there, I charged my vehicle for an hour and 53 minutes. I plugged it in through the Flow app.
2 weeks later, Kalisnik says he was shocked to find out he had been billed $5.99 a minute to charge his car plus taxes for a total cost of $681. He called the dealer to complain.
When we put this charger in, we can charge whatever we want, and apparently they can. That's crazy. I said, that's way too much. And he said, well, maybe next time you should buy a gas vehicle.
We contacted the dealership in Swan River, which is about 5.5 hours northwest of Winnipeg. Greg Ashour says Kalisnik called ahead and was warned what the charging fees would be.
We made it blatantly clear what the price of charging was. The price of charging is also on the app and on the charger itself. It's just like a gas pump, essentially.
Ashour says in his area, no one is interested in EVs, and he's never sold one. He says he only installed the charger because his dealership was forced to.
The machine cost me $86,000, which I never wanted. I have no hope of returning any investment on that machine.
The Electric Vehicle Society, which promotes EV use, says users typically only get big bills if they leave their EV plugged in after it's been charged and it's blocking the spot for someone else.
When your car's fully charged, you have 5-minute grace period, and then we're going to start charging you a fee per minute. And that's an idle fee, and that has no cap on it.
Kalisnik was refunded $300 by his charging app, but wanted to warn others fees they could face.
I want people to understand that price is outrageous.
Ashour says his dealership has since reduced the charging rate to $1.99 per minute. And if you're on the road with an electric car, there can be big differences in how much it will cost to charge it. It could be $20 to $70 or more. You should always know in advance how much you'll have to pay. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
So today wasn't a washout of a day. I mean, we did see some clear breaks, even little bits of sunshine, but definitely unsettled.
That skyline at this hour is not too inviting. But at least as we edged, we're getting really close to the weekend. And then with the weekend comes some sunshine finally.
Yes, there is some aspects of the weekend forecast that you can really look forward to. In fact, tomorrow we will have sun, we will have warmer temperatures. The weekend brings us some sunny opportunities as well, but it's also going to be quite chilly at times. Next week, though, going to feel like summer. Let's take a look at what it looked like earlier this morning. We had a foggy start in some parts of the GTA. This was Durham Region. Visibility reduced in many areas, and it could be a similar situation waking up tomorrow morning. So just be mindful of this. If you hit the road early or you're a pedestrian, try and make yourself as visible as possible. Before we get to our local forecast, I just want to point out how warm it is. Once again, in Western Canada, 32 degrees this hour in the city of Edmonton. Very hot across Saskatchewan and Manitoba too. But of course, there are also wildfires burning there out of control, and some smoke, wildfire smoke, could drift toward us here in southern Ontario. Less concerned about the air quality and more just the fact that it could veil an otherwise what could have been a blue sky. It is going to be a little bit chilly for Saturday and for Sunday, but look at the warmth that is coming next week. We'll get to that in just a moment. First, though, cooling down in the far north, but it is still hot in places like Timmins and Thunder Bay at this hour, 26 degrees. We, on the other hand, are at 17 here in Toronto. We're going to fall to about 14 overnight tonight. That's on the warm side of seasonal. And then tomorrow, nice little improvement as far as the temperature is concerned. 24 degrees. Suddenly we're on the warm side of seasonal as opposed to below. A mix of sun and cloud through the day, followed by an increase in cloud cover and the chance of a few evening showers. Now, I do want to mention this in case you're planning an outdoor barbecue. We're monitoring a cold front. That's what's really going to cool us down for the weekend and also spark some of these showers or thunder showers. There's midday, so it's going to be dry, mix of sun and cloud. Then again, into the evening, that's where we see the chance of some wet weather. And then behind it, northwest winds are going to kick in. At this point, it looks as though it's going to be late evening, any shower activity, so that's good news. And then Saturday, I'm seeing a little more cloud than I would like to see. Still hopeful that we will enjoy a mix of sun and cloud at the very least, but it might be more of a variable cloudiness kind of day. 15 degrees for your Saturday. That's it. It's going to feel cool with those winds coming out of the north. There's Sunday, slight improvement in temperature. Let's focus on next week. Not only are we in for a nice run of sun for the first few days of June, but look at the daytime highs for Tuesday and Wednesday, 24 and 25 degrees. Looks like we could get back into a few showers by about Thursday of next week. That's the weather for now. Michelle, I'll send things over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Also tonight, Mboko's meteoric rise as the Toronto team gears up for the third round of the French Open. We catch up with the head of women's tennis for insight into Mboko's incredible run. The Princess Margaret Cancer Centre is launching a new fundraiser this weekend.
And as our health reporter Pauline Chan tells us, it promises to bring researchers and fans of one of the fastest growing sports together.
Barbados-born cricketer Carlos Brathwaite has many reasons to support the new Cricket to Conquer Cancer event.
My history with my mom with cancer, and obviously it being the intersection of cricket and cancer, it was perfect.
She survived her breast cancer, but another person close to Brathwaite didn't. Fellow cricketer Kenroy Williams, who died last year at age 40.
On May 31st, I'll be playing for Kenroy, for my mum, for every family that has faced this fight.
Brathwaite will be leading a team in Williams' honour at the inaugural Cricket to Conquer Cancer event at Celebration Square in Mississauga.
Some 40 teams have already registered, and organizers tell me it will be a less formal style of cricket, something akin to road hockey.
There's a big Asian and Caribbean community in Canada, so majority of the players and fans are from Caribbean or Asian ethnic backgrounds. And I think that's why it was important then for the Princess Margaret to use cricket as a sport to reach those backgrounds.
The money that we raise through the events such as the cricket event, it goes to support our scientists, our researchers, our clinical trials. We're very focused on a number of areas, one of which is finding cancers early. Princess Margaret's one of the largest cancer centres in North America and one of the most respected. We have over 700 clinical trials at any one time. We open about 150 new ones every year as new drugs and therapies come along.
For those not familiar with cricket, Brathwaite likens it to baseball.
So essentially, we're only dealing with two bases, home base, which is the stump at one end, and the other base, which is the non-striker's end, and you have to cross, and that is one run when both batters get in.
Still confused? Not to worry. He says come out on Saturday and try cricket yourself while supporting a worthy cause. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Big news for fans of Shawn Mendes tonight. The Canadian singer has announced a North American and European tour.
On the road again. Take two again. Mark.
Calling it the On the Road Again tour, Pickering's own Mendes is embarking on a 20-city tour. It starts August 2nd in Kosovo and ends on October 17th in Los Angeles. He'll be making 3 Canadian stops, including here in Toronto, playing Budweiser Stage on September 28th. In 2022, Mendes canceled his Wonder Tour to prioritize his mental health. This tour will celebrate 10 years since the release of his first album. An 18-year-old from right here in Toronto is taking the tennis world by storm.
That's for sure. At the start of this year, she wasn't even ranked in the top 300 of the world tennis rankings. And tomorrow, she will play as one of the top 32 players at the French Open with hopes of moving on. CTV's Janice Golding has more on local phenom Victoria Mboko.
At the start of the year, Victoria Mboko was number 333 in the Women's Tennis Association rankings. But after a startling climb up the women's professional tennis ladder, the Burlington teen will be moving on to the third round of the French Open this week.
It's been my first Grand Slam ever, so I mean, there's a lot of emotions going on.
On Wednesday, on one of the biggest stages in tennis, the 18-year-old, who still wears braces on her upper teeth, beat the 59th ranked player, Eva Lies of Germany, in their second round match.
You know, I was struggling with a lot of injuries last year, and it's something that I would have never thought I would have done last year.
With that win, Mboko moved into a live ranking of number 89 as she prepares to play Xinwing Zhang, currently considered number 7 in the world in the French Open main draw.
She's very pumped to play against the number 7 in the world on Friday, the Olympic champion. So it would be really, really interesting to see how she matches up to that.
She's a very big underdog, don't get me wrong. I'm fully expecting that her opponent, Xinwing Zheng, should come away with this match. But that doesn't mean I'm discounting the possibility that Vicky could continue this pretty special run.
Mboko was born in the U.S. to Congolese parents before moving to the GTA, the youngest of 4 tennis-playing siblings, many of whom are currently in Paris cheering her on alongside her coaching team.
She's a young girl, so for us it's very important that we keep developing her. So I'm actually very, very excited. But in the meantime, we just try to stick to the job.
Mboko began the season on the lower-tier ITF circuit, but after 22 wins in a row and 4 titles, the spotlight became fixed on the teen and has grown brighter with each victory.
I remember 3 years ago at the National Bank Open here in Toronto, and already she had a booming serve. She had a lot of power. The tournament director, Carl Hale, said to me, "Mike, watch out for her. She's gonna win some big titles."
New to the spotlight this year, but certainly not to winning, with Mboko's fame continuing to grow on Paris's famous clay courts.
I'm super content right now, and I'm super happy with the way I've been playing, and hopefully I can continue on.
Janice Golding, CTV News.
After the break, after another disappointing season, the Toronto Maple Leafs are now looking ahead to the future. We'll hear from the team's general manager on what might be in store for some of the team's big-name players.
Breaking news this hour, an elderly woman in Pickering is dead after a late afternoon stabbing by an unknown man.
Behind us, you are seeing a live look at the scene from our CTV News chopper. It's in the area of Whites Road in Finch. Residents have been told to shelter in place. And CTV's Allison Hurst is at the scene. And Allison, we should mention you are in a safe area. Plenty of police where you are. What's the latest?
So we have just received an update from the city of Pickering, which has said that all public facilities are closed at this time for the ongoing investigation and the emergency alert issued. That includes all community centers as well as all libraries, and any programs and classes put on by the city. Those are canceled until further notice as well. There is a very large, heavy police presence here at this time, an ongoing investigation as they look for the suspect, because again, the suspect is still remains at large. Police say this happened around 3 this afternoon. An elderly woman was attacked by an unknown man, taken to hospital and pronounced dead. The man is still at large. Police say he was wearing a shiny, long black trench coat to his ankles and took off on foot. Neighbors tell us they often saw this woman walking her dog or gardening and in her front yard, and that believe she lived alone and that she was friendly. Again, police say the suspect is still at large, and again, he is described as wearing a long, black, shiny trench coat. They are asking anyone to keep their eye out and everyone to shelter in place as they continue their investigation and continue to look for the suspect. Reporting live, I'm Allison Hurst. Zoraida, back to you.
Thank you, Allison. To business news next. 2 more Canadian banks reported earnings today. BNN Bloomberg's Morella Fernandez has more on that and the day's other business headlines.
RBC reported earnings today. It missed profit estimates for the first time in 2 years. RBC's net income was $4.4 billion in its latest quarter. That's up 11% from last year. But the miss comes as the bank sets aside more money to deal with bad loans. American tariffs have triggered concerns about borrowers being able to pay down debt. Here's how the trading day ended. The Canadian dollar is up to 72.41. West Texas Intermediate is down almost $1 to 60.93. Our fix on Western Canadian Select puts it up at 51.47. And the TSX lost 72 points today, closing at 26,210. Those are your business headlines. I'm Morella Fernandez.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
For the 7th consecutive month, new home sales in the GTA were at record lows. The Building Industry and Land Development Association says there were 310 new home sales in April, down 72% from April of 2024. Condos accounted for 105 units sold last month, down 80% from the same time last year. Benchmark prices decreased for both single-family homes and condos.
The Leafs season was decided weeks ago, and now the attention turns to the future.
Today, the team's general manager faced the media. CTV's Sean Leathong has more on what he had to say.
It was the most successful season the Leafs have had in over 20 years. Still, falling short of winning it all, has general manager Brad Treliving saying,
"There's some DNA that has to change in our team."
The Leafs GM held his end-of-year media availability today, where he said the change is necessary
to create the team, both between the years, personnel, to be our very best at the most critical moments.
The most obvious place change could come from is core players Mitch Marner and John Tavares, who both become free agents on July 1st. As the season ended, boos could be heard from the Leafs fans, with much of their frustration directed at Marner. Treliving said he thinks Marner is a star.
Mitch and I had a discussion. It's emotional right now, right? And so my discussion with Mitch is let's all take a step back, let's take a deep breath.
But he would not commit to the team offering both Marner and Tavares contracts.
Can you say for certain both players will be offered contracts before July 1st?
No, as I said before, we're going through that process right now.
When focusing on the playoffs, Treliving pointing to critical moments like giving up a lead in Game 3 to Florida, along with 2 lopsided losses in Games 5 and 7.
We weren't good enough. We weren't good enough in the moment.
His positives are first-year coach Craig Berube and a much tougher D-core as part of the necessary change. And while the Leafs finished atop the Atlantic Division in the regular season and had their longest playoff run since 2002, he's aware that this group has lost 5 Game 7s in a row dating back to 2018.
When you keep getting the same result, there's some DNA that needs to change.
So fans should expect to see a different-looking team next year.
So as to what the DNA of this team may look like, and if any pending free agents will return, fans may have to wait until free agency opens on July 1st. Sean Leathong, CTV News.
Just ahead, a sight to be seen on shore in Oakville. The story behind the 60-foot handcrafted piece called the Ship of Tolerance.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
A touring exhibit has set sail in Lake Ontario and is currently docked in Oakville.
As CTV's Jessica Smith reports, the larger-than-life work of art is all about creating a conversation around understanding and tolerance.
The ship has long been a symbol of connection and communication.
The ship was the first vessel of communication between countries. Language, history, relationship, commerce. Anything you mentioned, that was done by the ship.
This 60-foot-long handcrafted wooden ship is a touring exhibit called Between Heaven and Earth and the Ship of Tolerance. It's located outside of the Oakville Galleries, brought to Canada in collaboration with the National Gallery of Canada in Ottawa.
The Ship of Tolerance is a project by Ilya and Amelia Kabakov, who are world-renowned artists, and they've worked with the Children of Canada to make this project.
This year marks the 20th anniversary of the International Touring Exhibit, with the sails at each stop made by children of that country. This version includes the collective work of 2,000 local children from Halton and Peel Region.
This is a platform. Anything goes. You are unhappy with your parents? Tell us. You're unhappy with bullying at school? Tell us. Tell parents, tell adults, what do you want for the future? How you want this world to operate?
Meant to make meaningful conversations about what both divides us and connects us. The free public art exhibit is designed for everyone.
Talking about ideas of tolerance, how to build a brighter future, ideas of humanitarianism, all these topics that need more discussion, especially today, when things are a little tricky politically around the world.
The hope, according to Kabakov, take topics often difficult to discuss and bridge the gaps through ongoing and open dialogue.
I think this ship teach children that violence doesn't solve problems. Communication does. So do communicate, talk.
The Ship of Tolerance will be here at the Oakville Galleries through to the end of the year. And then the National Gallery of Canada will decide where it goes next. Jessica Smith, CTV News.
Well, certainly unsettled out there, gray, and we've been talking about these cooler temperatures.
I just need sunshine for the weekend.
Okay, yeah, we're going to do our best. Saturday looks a little cloudier than I was hoping for, but there's time for that to change. And Sunday looks pretty nice at this point. Tomorrow, we're going to get a little bump in temperature up back into the 20s, so I think we'll take that too. But we do have scattered showers still at this hour. Here's what it looks like on the satellite and radar imagery. These do appear to be weakening. We will dry out as the evening goes on. And then waking up tomorrow morning, it should be dry, expecting a little bit of fog early on once again, expecting that to also burn off, and we will enjoy a mix of sun and cloud before that cloud cover thickens and we have a chance of showers late day Friday. Here is the weekend forecast. There's that bit of cloud cover I was talking about for Saturday. It is going to be a little cool and brisk with winds out of the north and northwest. 15 degrees Saturday, 17 on Sunday. But look at next week. Lots of sunshine and temperatures in the mid-20s finally. Zoraida and Michelle.
Can't wait. Thanks, Lindsay. That's it for us, but be sure to join Omar Sachedina tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Zoraida Ahmed with your next local newscast at 11:30.
In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and online at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison, the whole team here, thanks for watching and have a great night.
We'll see you at 11:30.